Hey, this is Mark, and today I've got an iPhone 6S that is boot looping. So, as you can see in the top left corner of this video, it's kind of doing normal boot up current for a couple of minutes and then drops down to nothing and starts over again. So if I had a screen on it, it would just be showing an Apple logo, and then after about 15 or 20 seconds, turning off and starting that process over. Um, so boot looping is very often uh, associated with software corruption. Um, so a lot of times it is not repairable for the purposes of data recovery. A lot of times just wiping all the data and reinstalling the OS results in a working device. But sometimes there are hardware faults that can be repaired and save the data. And I don't know if this is one of those cases. It might be, but I did notice long screw damage here. I've looked into what lines are under this screw hole, and it doesn't look like anything that would be causing a boot loop is under there, but it also looks like this is pretty deep, so it may go multiple layers down. So it's definitely worth exploring before just writing this off as unrepairable, or unrecoverable rather. All right. It's been a long time since I've seen a case of iPhone 6S long screw damage, and the reason, if I remember correctly, it's been so long, but I seem to remember there being 2 layers of ground in these, uh, which is kind of what we're seeing here. I'm cutting through a bunch of like thermal vias that just connect the top layer of ground down to ground plane in the second layer. Um, so that really protects the underlying traces from damage because they're just buried deeper down in the board. But like I said, I have not seen a case of this even happening in a 6S in, oh God, it's got to be more than a year, 2 years. So I may be remembering incorrectly. Maybe I'm remembering the 6S Plus. So we'll see once we get this top layer off. Oh yeah, there's traces under there. So yeah, I must be remembering the 6S Plus. All right. So this is, you know, it looks like you'd see that and say, "Oh, that's not what I want to see." But actually, this kind of is what I want to see. I want to see a repairable hardware fault and not have this be, a boot loop due to software corruption. Now, it is always possible that even after repairing the hardware fault, that that boot looping has caused software corruption. But at least there's something I can fix here. All right. Plug my old UV light in real quick. Yeah, definitely some stuff to repair there. Doesn't look like the damage has gone down into the third layer. All right. So now we can just treat this like any other long screw damage job. Um, expose the ends of the traces that are undamaged and rebuild those lines. All right, so we got 3 lines in the bottom half, 4 lines in the top half. Looks like those 3 lines way up at the top are pretty intact. All right. Now, I know some people like to use the fiberglass pens for this part, but I do not like it. I feel like their bristles get broken off and you end up with just like fiberglass bristles in all in your junk. Not a fan. But you guys that like them, you do you. All right. Looks like everything I need to have exposed is now exposed. And now that all of the kind of loose, delaminated parts of the board are off and out of there, I'm going to have one more close look just to see if it looks like there's any third layer damage. I can see third layer traces down there, but it does not look like the damage went down into them. So we're okay in that respect. All right. See if I can. I have not been paying attention to whether this shows up good for the camera or not, but there we go. There's a good angle. You can see those traces down in the third layer, but the board seems pretty solid at this point. And that third layer didn't really get spongy, so it's really unlikely that there's going to be breaks down there. All right. Now, it's going to be really disappointing if I do all this work and it still boot loops. And I'll have to check the ticket, but I think this is here for general repair, so I can restore if necessary. Hopefully it just boots right up and that won't be necessary. Alright, now I think for this one, I'm going to start, I'm going to do them this way. So it's helpful when possible to kind of stagger your solder joints when you've got a bunch of lines that you're repairing that are all next to each other. Makes it a little bit easier to avoid desoldering ones that are already done. All right, 2 left. As long as I don't screw something up. Almost done. Not really happy with that last joint. I think my tip, my iron hot tweezer tip was getting a little oxidized, and the flux was a little burned up. So I think we can do a better job on that last one. All right, I think that is a better joint. Get our wire out of there. Go ahead and clean that flux off. Make sure all of our jumpers are not bridging with each other or ground. The wire I'm using here is not coated, so it is very important to make sure that that everything is routed correctly and not touching. All right. That's good. All right, everything looks okay. Yeah, let's see if this thing boots now. Okay, prompt to boot. All right, we are booting. Well, we're attempting to. Maybe we're boot looping. We don't know yet. Well, it looks better than it did before because it was looping before it hit that 1 amp peak that it just hit a few seconds ago. So in every phone's boot up process, it does tend to hit this kind of peak during booting where it shoots up just over 1 amp. And all right, we got touch and it's booting. So yeah, this one's solved. iPhone 6s long screw damage causing a boot loop. All right, thanks for watching.